With confidence, you have won before you have started. Hey, welcome to another Rare Leader conversation with myself, Tony Jalen, and
Neil Jalen.
hey, for the past handful of weeks, you've been joining us as we've been going through the reclamation project in terms of reclaiming your confidence, being able to step yourself up to the next level in your life. And we've been covering 5 questions thus far as part of a system to go ahead and reclaim your confidence. And this one, Danielle, this subject today, it's a big one. And the question is, how do I talk to myself? And we're going to cover like 3 subcategories within this topic because it's a big part of what makes your confidence, don't you think?
Yeah.
Um, just recently I was able to experience where a person was, they made a mistake and they instantly was making themselves a 10th class citizen. And what I mean by that, they made a mistake and they start beating themselves up. They're like, "Oh, I'm not like this person, or I'm not this person, or I'm not this person." And we know that comparison is the thief of joy. And how we talk to ourselves makes all the difference. I don't care how many people are giving you compliments, encouraging you, uplifting you. The most important words that your mind can hear are the words you tell yourself. Like, how big of an impact do you think self-talk has made to you, Danielle, positively and or negatively?
I think that positively, it's just helped me encourage myself to go for different goals that I've set instead of not thinking of myself as worthy enough to be able to accomplish them.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that are watching, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube or the Facebook group, I want to ask you, when is the last time you honestly assessed your self-talk? Because if you're constantly negative with yourself, like how could you possibly build confidence, right? It's like you're tearing yourself from down from inside out. So let's go to examine some ways in terms of changing your tune and your attitude when it comes to self-talk. All right. The first thing is, I got my cool little captions thing right now, is laying to yourself. Are you being positive or negative? How have you learned, Danielle, to take an inventory about what you are saying to yourself?
I think a lot of it has to do with my attitude towards others, is how I'm feeling. Like I can tell then what I'm like, how I'm thinking, or what I'm saying to myself. So if I'm encouraging and positive to other people and what they're doing, then it means that I've been in the mindset of where I'm talking to myself more positively and encouraging myself in different ways.
Share a little bit more about that. Like, give us some examples.
Well, I think just for and like you going to the gym and working out, like if I'm not working out, I know I'm upset with myself. And then I see you might not have gone to the gym. So then I'm rating on you about not going to the gym or what, different things in that sense. Um, so I think that that's a big indicator of where mentally my self talk would be.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point, is that a lot of times in how we're treating others and how we're speaking to others, and even about others, is an indicator of what's going on inside. The good book says you can't hide what's in your heart. And that other, so what I'm hearing you say, Danielle, in some ways, like that other person may not actually be the problem. It actually may be an internal problem versus an external problem.
Yeah.
And that may be a hard pill for a lot of us to swallow. But if it's one of those things, if you see it now in just one person, but it's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, there's one common denominator, and that's you. So if it helps, What I would encourage you guys to do is just like write down notes throughout the day on what you're hearing yourself say and look at it before bed. Were you positive or negative throughout the day? Because that awareness thing is a big thing, right? Sometimes we're not even aware of it unless we make an intentional effort, like, ooh, how am I speaking to myself today? Like, I'm not worthy of this, or I'm not deserving of this. Here's another way in terms of like doing inventory of how do I talk to myself? Rethink what you're saying. So if things are sounding pretty negative, what I would do is I would challenge these thoughts as they occur. So ask yourself if any of what you're saying is true, and there might be an element of fact there, right? But the question is, are you saying it constructively? What would be some examples of that, Danielle?
Um, I think if you are not hitting goals, like, are you telling yourself that I'm just not like you had referenced, I'm not like somebody else? Are you comparing yourself to how other people are performing? And then comparing what your goals are and where you're at. Are you limiting yourself then by that comparison? So, um, well, they can do it because they have these resources. I don't. Um, they can do this because they have all that time. I don't. And are you like limiting yourself because we all have the same amount of time? How are we using it? So just really looking at that and like in the comparison standpoint.
Yeah. I think I would add to that is like if you're hearing yourself say words like I'm always late. I mean, you might find true that you're late, but aren't you are you late really all the time? That means like you're saying it's 100% or never or can't. Really, is it a can't or are you just not willing? You know, you might not be there yet, and that goes back using the powerful word yet. That's from the book The Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. She talks about the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, adding the word yet to your end of sentences. Like, I'm not there yet, you know? But I think those trigger words always, never, can't. Like, can't, I'm telling you, Daniil knows this. When someone says can't to me, it's like literally you just swore like really bad word at me. Because, like, wait, I can't, no, no, you're choosing not to. Oh, I don't like you said, I don't have time. Well, you don't have time, or is it just wasn't a priority? I know that's a hard-hitting question. Don't get mad at me. I love you. But I think it's something to think about. And I think if you have any doubts about what you're saying, I think you got to ask yourself this. If you talk to your best friend this way, the way you're talking to yourself, would you talk to your 1-year-old child that way? Mm, maybe not. If the answer is no, it's time for a change. The next part would be like sort of like to shift the conversation. And like you mentioned a little bit, Danielle, it's like how to rephrase the statement to make it more positive. Um, so what would be like another example of how to reshift the conversation?
I think just how you talked about yet. Um, you might not be doing something yet. I think just encouraging yourself, like knowing, not basing it on a feeling. So I don't feel like doing this right now, or I'll like not basing it on a feeling. So then just like doing it, knowing that on the other side you're going to feel better.
Mm,
Like keeping that promise to yourself of doing it. And so I think, I don't know, it sounds cliche, like making it a more positive phrase than negative. So I think that it's um, just finding ways to like make it more encouraging, than it being something dreadful to do.
Well, and I think too, I was shifted at times. If I don't do this, what will be the cost associated with it? Like sometimes that cost of not doing something motivates me more than doing it, if that makes sense. Like if I did, like for example, I had a leadership call today and we're going over numbers and stuff like that. And there was a part of me hesitating to do it because it's new and I know that there's going to be some healthy tension there. But what will be the cost associated by me not leading that call? Oh, I could have been off on numbers by, six figures. When you work in a, Fortune 100 company, you don't want to be off a number by six figures. That's a big number. So I thought, I'd rather be able to be a conservative estimate versus like a hopium estimate, right? You can't cash hopium. Um, Here's what I find is that when you start using positive self-talk on a consistent basis, like I have to intentionally focus on it. I don't know about you, Danielle, but I have to intentionally work on my self-talk each and every day. I find that my confidence is growing just because I've given myself a constant affirmation, leading to like a more positive outlook. How about you?
Yeah, I think when you're making a conscious effort to change what you're saying and leading yourself in that you be doing it for your kids or for somebody else, like you're encouraging them to do something that they're hesitant on. I think when you start doing that with yourself is the way that you can lead and be a better example for them.
Yeah, it all starts with you. All leadership problems in life is all problems are a leadership problem, usually a self-leadership problem. So that was the next power question, so to speak, of like how do I talk to myself? And the other questions we talked about was, what do you care about or who do you care about? Family, friends, etc. Another question was, what were your past successes? And we talked about what do you want? And then we talked about who are you? So those are the six questions to really reclaim your confidence. So what's next? What do you do next? Well, the truth is you're almost there. I mean, if you've honestly sat down and actually wrote out the answers to these questions, you've done more than 75% of people ever do. Maybe 80, 90% of people will do. You just got to do one more thing now. And one more thing is you won't feel confident until you know what you're going to do next. So setting a few short-term goals. I was talking to our son's personal trainer, former personal trainer for the time being, time back with him for a little bit last night, and he wants to do a bodybuilding show, and so he's eating like 6, 8 meals a day, 4,000 calories. He had to wake up an hour and a half earlier every day in order to get his food intake for the day. And he goes, you know, there's something about, regardless of the day, of the results of the day, as long as you know you did something that you're working towards, he goes, it feels like a good day. He goes, I know this goal is gonna be tough, but man, if I'm gonna be a trainer, I gotta walk the talk. Like people are asking, like, why the heck would you go ahead and go do a bodybuilding? He goes, I realized by having a purpose every day, you gotta have something to wake up to. You gotta have a purpose. And the thing is, you create that purpose. It is up to you. If you're watching this and you say, I don't have a purpose, then we need to answer these questions again. Because I promise you, you will find a purpose in there. Um, but when you create these goals, you got to make them smart goals. And a smart goal is something that's specific, measurable, accountable, realistic in time. And I know this for family's sake that when we would sit down like on a weekly basis and actually share our goals, I was a lot more motivated. I think Danielle, you really are inspired because it helps build, and Ezekiel is because he built a community here. Um, but how does having those goals build confidence, Danielle?
Well, you can look at yourself and you can know that you're being accountable to yourself. You are working towards something, and you can show that you're doing something towards a bigger goal than just existing. I think that by being able to have those things and to not necessarily check them off, but be proud that you're doing them because they may be something small and not significant to somebody else, but to yourself, you know where you are personally. And to be able to continue to work on those things helps just build that confidence and knowing, like, I know I'm doing this and I'm getting better.
Hmm.
And I think as you continue to do that, other people will notice, and that may fill those that positive talk to yourself because now they're acknowledging you're doing something, even though it may not be something very big.
And interesting that you say that because sometimes, we're going through life and we sometimes may ask ourselves, is anyone noticing? Like we do like to be encouraged. We like to be celebrated. And when you also like he was talking to me last night, he's like, there's something about people coming up to me and saying, "Man, you just look great. Like, what you been doing?" He goes, "That's my little affirmation." Like, I didn't ask them to come up to me and say, "Hey, good job. Your physique is looking bigger and better." But they noticed it. And I think when you set a goal, you're telling yourself you're capable of accomplishing great things, and you're counting on yourself to get it done. Like, and this was just the other day here. Um, let's see if I can find it here. Wrote this down. The power is in you, not someone else, to achieve your goals. The power is in you, not someone else, to achieve your goals. And these 6 questions are powerful things to consider when it comes to it. I mean, there's some work involved, isn't there? In sitting down. And sometimes you may not even want to ask these questions of yourself because that means you're taking responsibility. Ooh, take a responsibility. But I don't know what you think about this, Danielle, but I believe that your future self is going to thank you for sitting time down and investing time to do it. Right.
Mhm.
So, and the thing is too, like, would you say as your confidence grew that you discovered that you could do amazing things that you never knew were possible?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it can be a something like, um, I just had made the comment the other night, like, you ended up not feeling well, and I take Ezekiel to the Thursday night football game in Green Bay, and it's amazing, like, that's very out of my comfort zone to be able to go into a big crowd like that, let alone drive 2+ hours to get there. Um, and to go to something like that, like figuring out, like, oh my gosh, like, where are we going to park? Like, there's things that sometimes you take for granted other people will do for you. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself empowered to do those things. And, that was a big out of my comfort zone to do. And I'm grateful that I have been doing things to build my confidence to feel good about being able to do that and not, shying away from it. Not that I wanted to spend my night out freezing, but just to see the excitement that Ezekiel had by still being able to go, it made it something not about me then.
Hmm. I think that was a big thing for you. For those of you guys don't know Danielle, like I'll be the one that go out into the big crowds, and Danielle's amazing on one-on-one and small groups. It's just that's what just for last Thursday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the Green Bay Packer game. Should I say Titan game? But that's important. And I was really proud of you that you went. And but you said it wasn't about you. It was about getting our son to the game. I know he was very excited about it. He was initially like you could tell a look on his face was like, "Oh, you're not able to go, Dad?" I go, "Yeah, but I got even a better backup plan than me." and you guys had a lot of fun. So, what would you say are some final thoughts when it comes to reclaiming your confidence, even though it may seem a little bit daunting at first?
Well, I just think a lot like we were talking today, like just listening to how you're talking to yourself. Are you encouraging yourself? I think a lot too, like, I'm tired. Are you're going to fulfill whatever you're saying to yourself. So, I'm too tired to do this right now, or I'm not feeling like doing this. And, I think a lot of that really comes down to whatever you're going to say to yourself, know that you will fulfill that what you're saying.
So we did a volleyball tournament this weekend, and myself and the head coach were walking in an entrance, and he goes, they don't even check. I hadn't had my wristband checked all weekend. They don't check that wristband. And no joke, they asked him immediately, "Where's your wristband?" Because he didn't have it on. So you're right. You can manifest into real life what you speak, and you know, I think in the end, the confidence you carry with you into the future is gonna be stronger than you've ever had before if you really take the time to answer these 6 questions. Because leadership comes down to awareness and then acknowledgement. That's a tough one, but then now you can take action. So hang in there for those of you guys who are watching. If you've gone through this for the last few weeks, you're about to find out how much of a doggone incredible person you are. But then again, the hero of the story always is, and you're the hero. Until next time, I'm Tony Jalen, joined by the wonderful
Danielle Jalen.